my name is Beth MacDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. It's gotten chilly in Bermuda. It's really nice. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's perfect for today to be able to wear this. It's not a long sleeve heavy sweater, but kind of just something nice and cozy over my shoulders. I'll talk about this a little bit more, but yeah, it's cooled off and feeling a little wintry, pretty breezy. So loving it. Wintertime in Bermuda is the best. So anyways, I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying whatever weather you're having wherever you are in the world. And yeah, and let's get down to it. I'm going to divide today into two sort of sections. The first is going to be the usual sort of what I finished, what I'm working on, all that sort of stuff. And the second is going to be about my top favorite sweaters, or not sweaters, of knitted pieces that I've ever knitted that aren't my design, and why. So that'll come in part two. So part one, let's just start with that. It's all in the same one episode, but we'll take a break so that I can clean up this section or this mess and get into the next mess. So yeah, so hope you have some good knitting or crochet or whatever you're doing and something nice to drink, and let's get down to it. Okay, so let's do what's been finished, and I'll just start with what I'm wearing. I finished this. This is the Strathcona Sweater. It's made out of bulky yarn. Let's see if I can, sorry, my chair is now in the way. Bulky yarn. It's really simple. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely sweater, but I knit it, excuse the chair sound. I knit it back in 2021 and I never wore it. And the reason I never wore it was that my bind off in the hem was just too rigid, and it just didn't hang nicely. It didn't feel nice. And I really like things, as you know. I love things that are all boxy. So now it's got great movement. It's got a great swing to it. Hard for you to see. But yeah, so it's how I like it now, and I love it, and I can't wait to wear it. So this might become one of my top 10 things for next year. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, so this is the Strathcona Sweater by Tara-Lynn Morrison. And I'm using Blue Sky Fibers bulky color Bobcat. And sorry, I'm looking down because I'm not good at remembering details, names of people, places, things. Sorry, not my forte. I'm really good at recognizing, but not good at names. So a part of me, when I do look down, I've just got my notes here, which will be the same notes that you'll have in the description below. So everything will be listed down below for you to, if you'd like to explore anything that I talk about further. So yeah. So I'm really psyched about it. I think it's a great pattern. I think it's a really simple pattern. I find working with bulky weight yarn really difficult, as in it's really hard to make it look nice. Sorry, backwards, isn't it? To make it look nice, like to have it finished and everything. But because this is sort of simple and lovely, great yarn, this worked out really well. I have knit other bulky weight garments, and like I said, the finishing or the stitches are, like, I'm very good at details and being precise and sort of nice finishing details with lighter weight yarn. So I just find bulky weight really difficult, which is why I probably wouldn't ever recommend a bulky weight to a newbie knitter. I don't think you'd get the level of satisfaction. So I think it's trying to find the right balance of nothing too fine that takes forever and it's frustrating, or nothing too bulky that is just so easy to look jangled. I mean, if every stitch isn't perfect, like here, you know, oh, sorry, this way. You know, even these, I think this is top down. It's been so long. Even these increases here, I mean, they're fine, whatever. But again, it's not, like, any possible mistake will be very apparent. So whatever, we all have our preferences. Bulky weight is also tricky for me because it doesn't usually get that cold in Bermuda. I mean, it's a warm day today for winter, but and it will get a lot colder. And I shouldn't say that, but I did purposely knit these with shorter sleeves for that. Sorry, that was the door clicking. But it's a tricky weight for Bermuda, and it's really tricky to pack, to take somewhere where you might be traveling. That bulky weight garments would be more ideal. Just, I mean, they take up half the suitcase. So it's not something I gravitate to. I have a few. I'm culling some. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and I think it's really cool. I think it's stylish. I think it fits well. I'm keen. Anyways, so the Strathcona. What else is off my needles? Okay, so finally, The Maxim Cyr, for fuck's sake, is finally done. And I've finally taken photos with my husband Jeff wearing it, and he looks so handsome, and it's fantastic. Everyone's pleased. I'll put pictures here. Yeah, it's just a great sweater. Really, I made so many mistakes on this sweater. It's kind of comical, but who cares, right? Like in the end, it all worked out. I forgot the top row of some of these glasses. Like, it was my evening knitting, and sometimes in the evening I'm a little tired and watching, or maybe the show is really good on TV or something. You just never know. It's not my brightest time of day, so it took me a while. I had to re-knit the body. I can't remember why did I I re-knit the body because really dumb mistake. I didn't put the short rows in the back. I put them in the back, but when I separated from sleeves, I got a little like off. So I had to re-knit the body just to sort of straighten up the stitches that went to the sleeves. Whatever. I re-knit the sleeves because Jeff likes them more slender than they had in the pattern. No big deal. Did some decreases. He likes slender sleeves. Yeah, but otherwise, it's super great. Oh, and then I ran out of yarn and had to wait for my friend Priscilla to see her at Rhinebeck to come to my rescue, and I literally just needed it for the 2 cuffs. I had enough, and Jeff was not interested. I had tons of this blue, and I thought the blue cuffs maybe with this kind of like snowy mountain kind of transition would be so cool. No, not for Jeff. So whatever. It wasn't a huge rush. It's only just getting cold now, and we're only just wearing sweaters. So it worked out perfectly timing-wise. It looks amazing. If I haven't already, I will insert a picture of him wearing it. He was not feeling particularly like a particular model yesterday when he was modeling it, where I usually can get him to really do some funny poses. He loved the movie Zoolander, but last night was not the night, so they're pretty staid. Not too exciting, but it gives you an idea what it looks like. And he's pleased. I'm pleased. It's over. Not that it's a rush. I don't know why I said that. No, I don't really. That one didn't really bother me that it was on my needles for so long. It just almost became sort of like this sort of the never-ending story, and it's a happy story. Great knit. There are 3 colors. It's a stranded yoke color work. There are some rows with 3 colors in it. That's okay. There are some really long floats with 3 colors. That gets a little bit more complicated in my mind, especially at night when I'm a little tired. Maybe had a glass of wine. But anyways, it all worked out. Love it. I'd be very happy to knit more of Maxim Cyr's patterns. They're so charming, and his drawings his drawing style is so evident in them that it's great. Love it. Anyway, so that's the For Fox's Sake. Oh, and the yarn that I used is basically a real mixture of whatever I had. So the gray, the main color gray that Priscilla helped me out with, that's Hillesvag Ask, and I think when we bought them both, I think it was Haifa Ask, but it's now Hillesvag Ask. This blue color was light purple in the same Hillesvag Ask, which I dyed to make purple. Dyed to make that blue, sort of like I wanted that sort of deep mineral blue, almost like a Persian blue, but I like from a carpet, to then complement this lovely red, soft red, which is Tukuwool DK in the color, I've got to look that up, Syli, Syli. And then there's white, which is really old stash, and that is, new Lanark Wool color Limestone. And I bought that when traveling in Scotland with my son many, many, many years ago. So it's kind of just, these colorful yokes are great for using up scraps, and I really have a lot of color scraps. And I would, totally suggest that anyone who likes to knit with color, just save your scraps, because it really doesn't take much. I do put pretty much all the details on how much yarn I did use, so that if you're ever looking for it, I'm sure other people have in Ravelry. I really think Ravelry is fantastic, and I try to put as much information in there as I can, not only to help other knitters, but also myself. I do go back and adjust things, and when things are in notes right now, in the Ravelry, I've got all the information I need to adjust or to copy or to mimic or to use as a launch pad for another design or a pattern that I'm going to knit. So yeah, I've got another sweater that I'm fixing downstairs, and again, all the notes were there, and I'm super grateful because that's been a couple of years too, and this is not going to remember it whatsoever. So that's that. What else is on my, the other big one that was quite monumental is the Stephen West Go-Go Dynamo shawl. I've finished this as well, and I'm really pleased. I thought I had finished it after these triangles here, but no, it really needed the border, and this has not been blocked, so it's a little wonky and curly, but I think it's fantastic. Let me see if I stand up back here. You can see, and I'm really pleased with that. So I'll block that tomorrow, maybe when the wind dies down a bit. But yeah, so that's been really great. The yarn I've used for this is, I love it. It's fantastic. Walcott Yarns Opus, colors Spellbound and Blacklight. I can't remember which is which. See, look, mine has a little wonky bit there, but yeah. Anyways, so that's that. Now, my husband is walking around the kitchen, and I think I'm going to have to pause because I just can't, I can't multitask. I can't focus on you and feel like I'm not super embarrassed. So back in a mo. Okay, sorry about that. My husband wanted to go to the grocery store and take the dog for a ride, so they're off. It's just us, kind of. Anyways, so yeah, so the Go-Go Dynamo, it's really fun. I'm sure you've heard all about it, where you start with these half semicircles, join them together, work down to about here, these triangles, and then work up, fill in this, and then the border at the bottom, like I just added, finishing last night. Totally optional. It's a really fun knit. I'm really pleased with it. I know I'll get a lot of wear out of it in the winter when I go out and about, which I don't always do, but whatever. The theory's there. Yeah, so I mean, you can sort of see all the little details there, or most of them. There's a bit of brioche. It was really easy. I don't do brioche very often, so I kind of have to relearn every time. The slip stitch color work up here is really lovely, and then these charming little tiny baubles, adorable. Yeah, everything was a real joy. There wasn't any part of it that I found frustrating. As I've talked about before, like with the For Fox's Sake sweater, I'm a bit of a daydreamer. It's just how it is. I was a total daydreamer with these triangle sections, so they weren't very even. So I had to make sure I picked up the right amount of stitches when I was putting on the border. Some were short a little bit, some were a little long, whatever. I mean, the great thing with Stephen West's designs, and I think with his attitude to knitting, is there's so much room to fudge. Just have fun, enjoy it. The product will be fantastic. You know, the little teeny details. If I hadn't told you that I'd kind of screwed up a little bit on the little triangles here, you'd never know. I mean, the great thing is I kind of realized a quarter of the way in what I was doing wrong. And so I used the rest of it. I'd figured out the stitches, so I used the rest of it to kind of compensate, make up for it. So when I got to the end, whichever end it was, there was no abundance of stitches, just because I'd already sort of figured out what was going on and, you know, told Beth to pay attention a little bit more. That sort of thing. It happens for sure. So whatever. I'm really thrilled with that. Can't wait to block it. I'll talk about it more, but I've just taken all of my sweaters and not all my shawls, because I find washing and blocking shawls a little bit fiddly. And where sweaters, I was just doing about sort of 9 or 10 a day and hanging them over the railing to dry. I have a spin dryer. It's fantastic. So by the time you spin dry it and hang it over the rail with a little bit of sun, in it, like an hour or two, they're dry. So I did all of that. And where am I going with that? Oh yes, so the shawls. I mean, I would like to block and pin a few shawls. I noticed I've kept all of my Stephen West ones because they're so spectacular. Like everyone says, works of art. I totally agree. He's quite an architect and a genius. But there's one that I'd really like to wash and block and reset, and that's the one that's the eye shape. I think I did some tension oddness that kind of screwed it up a bit, so that the center of the eye, the pupil, is very tight, so it kind of puckers the rest of it, which I fixed in the first time blocking, but I'd like to block that, and I'll block this, and you know, again, blocking, it just hides a million sins, so that's all good. So that's the plan there. What am I working on? Okay, so the first one, Bermudiana. I showed this to you a little bit last time. It's still in my fun beach basket. I love it because I can keep the yarn. Well, now I've just yucked it all up, but by these little handles here, I can keep the two colors on either side. So this one is a really fun, it's going to be, oh my goodness, oh, do you hear that? That's not good. It's going to be a bottom-up sweater. There will be in the instructions the ribbing at the bottom to start with. I'm just kind of going as I please, so I'll work out the body and then add the ribbing, just have control. I'll also probably put in the pattern that you can do it this way too, because I do think the final length is really wonderful to be able to customize to your perfect measurements. This one's called Bermudiana just because it's a blue floral motif that's repeated. Bermudiana is the national flower in Bermuda, so that's really fun. I'm working on this. This is my nighttime project, and I'm having a fine time with it because it's so simple. Thank goodness. So in this, I'm using really lovely yarn that was given to me by my friend Syli, who traveled to the Fano Festival in Denmark, and this is G-uld.dK No.3. It's a really beautiful yarn, and it really plumps up beautifully. And then the contrasting colors are a Bien Aimee Winterfell mohair held with Rauma Finullgarn PT2 in colors 0401 and 4006. And I'm not sure which one's which, but I'm sure if you looked it up, you could pretty easily tell. So that's really coming along nicely. It is set up so that it will be steeked. So you can see here, this is for the steeking for the sleeve opening. It will be drop shoulder. It's a boxy cut. Again, this is about 50 inches around, which is very generous, and what is this one my preferred, really, really super generous, oversized boxy fit. And then I'm going to try and, I've got an idea for the shoulders and the neckline and everything like that. So that's kind of being designed on my needles with a vague vision, and I'm excited about that. So that's really fun to work on. So that's called the Bermudiana. I have no idea when that's going to be out. Maybe in the spring. Stay tuned. Another one that I'm working on that I'm also really excited about. So I'm actually working on 2 designs at one time, which if you've ever heard me talk, you'll know that I really don't do. So why set your own rules, right? Because you're not going to live by them, at least not me. Excuse me. So this is, if you remember from last time I chatted with you, I bought this amazing, I thought this amazing yarn from Green Mountain Spinnery. It's called Ragtime, and it's color Armstrong. And it's sort of a long color changing yarn. I've started with, there, maybe you can see better there. So I've started with some darker colors. It was quite red at the beginning. Gone from red to sort of darker, kind of moodier dark pinks into light pinks, and then it'll go back to a very solid red. And I've got a couple of these balls. I'm holding that double with one of my favorite farm yarns that I always pick up at Rhinebeck, and I unfortunately didn't do it this year, and I'm going to be running a little low, so I've actually placed an order with a Cornwall shop, and this is called Moodna, and I just want to make sure there's not like another name for it. Excuse me again, looking at my notes. Oh, I have it written down wrong, so I'm going to have to correct this. I was going to use Harrisville Designs Color Talk Radio, but it was too black, and it looked really garish against the reds. And it's funny, I really scrapped. I got sort of a little frustrated. I'd done so many swatches. I'm like, oh, it just looks really like harsh, and I don't want it. I want it to look like a cozy winter sweater. So I went to Moodna Color Trumpet, and that was just the perfect sort of gray, warm gray. There's like a little bit of a brown in it. It's a lovely, lovely yarn, a total favorite of mine. So I'm working on that. This is a raglan shaping. It's going to be, I'm really craving, trying to figure out how to put this together so that I can show you better. I'm really, really, really craving oversized, cozy sweater. So this is like an oversized neckline here. It's folded. When it steams, it'll be a bit, nicer looking. And then the long gradient color changing yarn is sort of the contrasting color. If I put it here, can I? And I'm using the moon now to create the vertical lines, which will overall kind of create a checkered effect with there's a raglan line there, and another one's over here somewhere, and then two on the back. So it'll be like a cozy winter. It's kind of, why can't I do this? It's a cozy winter sweater, probably my Christmas sweater. I'm really excited about it. So this was total yarn inspiration. When I saw this yarn at Green Mountain Spinnery, I knew like in a flash what I wanted to do with it. That doesn't mean that it gets like knit perfectly at the first go. I've had to pull it out a ton of time. The great thing is I did the collar. I put the short row shaping in the collar, and then so once that was sort of set, then I worked and undid the yoke. And the reason I did that was by then I had figured out, of course, the perfect gray, which was the Moodna. But I find with raglans, sometimes there's a nice, sometimes the increases pull too much on the raglan. And so I was trying all sorts of different stitch techniques so that the raglan itself would lie beautifully and not be a massive feature. I also wanted all it to be a slip stitches so that the raglan is similar in a line. Gosh, I really can't, I'm going to look down and do it. Similar in a line to the vertical lines of the black, of the main color. So that was sort of what I played with a bit. Always fun with the Excel spreadsheets with numbers and stuff, and that I find really like a really good brain tease puzzle. So so between the two, that one's sort of been a little bit to get going. The other thing I found it hard to get going is because it was the fourth item that I was actively working on, and I really in my day only have room for 3. So now that this lovely Go-Go Dynamo is officially done for me, like nothing more to add, then I can really concentrate in this one as a proper, like as a have its dedicated time. So it'll move along really quite quickly. It's the gauge is quite large. It's a 20 stitch gauge. I've written down with the row gauges on my notes downstairs. I don't have it up here, but it's US 7 needles. It's pretty fast. So that's really great. Okay. The gardeners are back from next door. They're just working in the house right there. We're going to try. If it gets too noisy, then we might have to pause. I'm going to actually just close this window here. So just bear with. I'm going to pause one more time. This is my other work in progress. This is on my sort of continual sock journey. I love Summer Lee. I love her designs. They're super fun. This is how it goes. This is the cuff up here. This is the design for November. I think it's really clever. She does it with 2 options, one in 2 colors and one in multicolors. I'm not up for multicolors just for a sock. It looks great, fantastic, but I'm not going to knit it. But I love this. I'm really excited about this. So this is Magpie Yarns in the color Magpie Yarn Swanky Sock in the color, here it is, Magpie Sock color Velvet Underground. I knew it was a velvet something or other. And then, so that's this here. And the lovely tag, Magpie Swanky Sock DK, sock, this is the sock, sorry. And I just had this in stash. I don't really know what it is. I want to say it's BC Garn. I don't know, it's super old. It's very thin, so I'm just holding it double, one strand from the inside and one from the outside to make it work for the color work. I don't think it matters really what it is. It's not in like a high friction area. So, if it has superwash or nylon or silk in it, which it doesn't, I don't think, it doesn't really matter. But I think the color is just perfect. So I'm really excited about that. So those are all the things that I'm working on. What's coming up next? So on November 27th, Wednesday, November 27th, I'm going to be publishing a sweater called All the Best Entre Deux. I'll put a picture right here. I'm really excited about that sweater. It's in testing now. Everyone's testing it. It's look amazing. It's a really simple construction. You start with provisional cast on. Don't let that scare you off. In it, there's a link to a tutorial where it's really easy, and the provisional cast on goes onto your cable needle. So there's no like picking up stitches or trying to unravel any sort of crochet cast on that I can never get to unravel and I end up having to cut it out. So this is super easy. So basically you cast on the widest part, so including your sleeves and your chest. So it's like where you would separate for sleeves is where you cast on. And then you knit up the yoke. The reason you're knitting up the yoke is the design has little, like it's like a little shape here, and then with sort of 2 strands that go up. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. Let's do it that way. Sorry, whatever. Total visual, not, oh, look, balloons. Yay. Okay, great. So you know what I'm trying to say. I thought it looked sad going down. And again, I don't think, is this a bad word? I don't know. Anyways, but so I just thought pointing up was happy and cheerful. And then you also still have full control over your sleeve length because the provisional cast on, and you'll just knit down with the cuff, and the same with the body. I love, like I said, control with body length there. So you'll just work your way down. That is, I've used for that, I don't have it in my notes here, but that Elmer worsted from the Lamb and Kid. I'll talk more about that next podcast, which will be the Friday after the 27th of November. So that'll be November 29th. And we'll talk more in detail about that. But looking forward to publishing that, and I think I've had a lot of interest in people keen to knit it, so get your needles ready if you're keen to knit it, and that'll be coming to you soon. Okay, so that, I think I've got a lot of patching to do. It's funny how I try to find when it's quiet and everything like that, and then everything happens. My office. Too much going on in the kitchen. So we're in my office. It's my creative space. I love it down here. Yeah, so let's try from this vantage point. And actually, this might be where I shoot from or record from going forward. Sorry, I just stubbed my toe. I put something in the way. I had a stack of sweaters to tell you all about, and I stubbed my toe, and I put okay, gosh. I'm so organized for today, too, so I'm really sorry about this. It's just, whatever. I think this is going to be where I'm going to record from going forward in the future. I can just control the noise and the sound and everything else like that, the comings and goings, and those who need to, sorry, I'm perspiring because I've been running up and down the stairs. Okay, catching myself, catching my toes. Here we go. Yeah, anyways, so this is probably it. Welcome to my office again. So this fall, I've washed all my knits. I kind of do it every 2 years. I probably would like to do it every year. I have a lot of allergies, so I know a lot of people wash their knits at the end of the year and put them away, and that's really good because it gets all of your sort of body oils or any sort of stains or food or whatever that the moths like off. I totally agree with that. I'm pretty careful with my knits. I never wear them directly on my skin, and I mean, if I'm going to eat a messy dinner, I'll put on an apron or I'll take off a knit. Like, I'm pretty, like, my knits are my other children kind of thing, and only other knitters understand, and that does seem really crazy, but I'm whatever. So I'm not that worried about it in the spring, but what I do love to be able to do is all through the winter not worrying about them being dusty or whatever. So I wash all my knits in the fall, so they're all fresh and ready to be worn. Gets all the major creases out. I do fold them up again, so they're going to have the fold creases in them once again, but that really helps. I do also wash them with eucalan. Eucalan has lanolin in it, which is good for the wool, so I do knit a lot with pure wool. I love Shetland wool, that sort of thing. So the eucalan, I think, really helps to revitalize the wool with a bit of the natural sheep oil, the lanolin, but I also believe that lanolin is really good for moths. So I'm not going to say anything that that sort of sounds like I might have it mastered with moths. I totally don't. I'd be heartbroken to find a moth, but so far it's working. We all do our own thing. But anyway, so after washing everything, so I started up with my knitwear I have upstairs in the guest room knits that are designed by other people, and then in my office area I have all the knits just in that other space over there where I used to have all the sample books. The sample books are slowly going from my interior design business, and those shelves are going towards my knitwear. I had hung them up. The hanging up just didn't work, even with those lovely big hangers that I'd used, some really nice big plastic ones, big shoulders, hoping that it wouldn't be a problem. It was a problem. And so that was also great with washing all my knits, just kind of getting their shoulders back into shape and then lovingly folding them and putting them on the shelf. So I've got two sort of areas of knits. The upstairs is the one not designed by me, and downstairs is all designed by me. And that works really well. I mean, when I'm getting dressed, I'll be honest, it's easier to grab the ones that are upstairs, but whatever. Nothing's perfect. Anyway, so when I was washing, it's a really good process because you sort of familiarize yourself with what you have and what you love and what you don't love. So I've put a big pile together of what needs to be moved on, and sort of weeded down the ones that I'm really excited about. Also, in the piles of the stuff that I've designed, there's a lot of designs that sort of had false starts, and it's really great to keep those. Because in refamiliarizing myself with them, it makes me realize, oh, I really like that part of like the cuff on this sweater, or I really like the yoke on this sweater, or the, whatever. And so having refamiliarized myself, I'm really looking forward to maybe further exploring those thoughts. So it's a great practice all the way around. And one night when I went to bed, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun, just off the top of my mind, without like having the sweaters in front of me, what would be the 10, or I should say knits, not sweaters, what would be the 10 knits that have been my favorite or my current favorite, or the ones that really like spoke to me when I pulled them all out and washed them, and which ones would I like to tell you guys all about. And so without going to the sweater collection, I wrote on my phone 10 that I really love. And, my notes are kind of funny because I'm literally going to bed. So one's like cool yellow yoke and, whatever, because I don't remember names. So that was a really fun process because it's actually a really cool collection that I think are my 10 favorites, and I'd like to share them with you. So let's get going. So the first one is actually a shawl. So here I am talking about sweaters, and the first one is a shawl, but it's the Chrysler shawl by Stephen West. And I know I've just finished that Go-Go Dynamo, and it's wonderful, and I love it. But the Chrysler shawl is amazing. I wear a lot of black. This goes with everything. I can put it around really elegantly when I'm going out to a party because, again, Bermuda houses can be very damp. Quite often I wear it like this, and then I'll put like a nice jewel closure on it, or a shawl pin or something like that, and I can wear whatever, a dress or whatever. I find I don't overheat. I find if the houses are particularly damp and cold, which they are in the wintertime here, I'm very cozy and comfortable. And I find it really stylish. The two-tone nature is wonderful. The graphic nature is really wonderful. It's very modern. It's just a fantastic, fantastic shawl. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you, if you haven't already, knit this one. This is my shawl staple. And I really have to take care of it. I think I have. But I can see a little wear on it, which, whatever. I can always knit another one. And if I knit another one, I'd probably knit it in black and white again, too, just because, there you go. So you can see, really versatile and really elegant and whatever. So what did I use for this? I used Wishbone yarn. Oh, I met the lady who is the dyer or the owner of Wishbone yarn at Rhinebeck. Isn't that so funny? I was admiring what she was wearing. Yeah, and it's neat because it is hand-dyed yarn, so I was wondering if this is a mistake, but actually it's just where the color has sort of crossed, like there might have been little black specks in the white, and then where they've kind of crossed. That's interesting. So yeah, I met the lady from Wishbone standing in line admiring her sweater. That's what's so much fun about Rhinebeck, isn't it? Anyway, so this is Wishbone yarn, flax flower, color Zoot Drop and Winter Garden. I think the Zoot Drop is the black and the Winter Garden is the white. And anyways, that is just a real highlight. And Luna's always by my side. She's back from the grocery store, so she's gonna get all the sweaters down on the floor with her in a second. Anyways, okay, my next one is, and I knit that one in 2020. I've put the dates because I think it's really interesting. I really like a lot of them, and a lot of them are quite old, especially the next one. The next one is The Birkin by Caitlin Hunter, and this was her, I have washed it, but it immediately I folded them when they dry. But this has been the most amazing sweater. I travel with this. I love it. It looks great with a denim shirt underneath it or a dress or whatever. I did use her original pattern. The yoke fit me beautifully. I used the main color here is Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And isn't it funny? Like, you always know what it is in your head, but you can't put the words together. Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the color Fossil. And then this is BC Garn Baby Alpaca, color 103 for the dark gray. I knit this before we were going away on a Christmas trip with another family. We were going to Salzburg in Austria. And the most fabulous memories of wearing this, and the snow and cozy dinners in the countryside. It was really, 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 really amazing. Ice skating in the Mozartplatz in Salzburg. It was really, really lovely. But love this sweater. Great memories. Great knit. I know she has updated the yoke, so I know some people had problems with the yoke not fitting well. That's been updated, so there's no concern there. Anyways, that's great. It's held up well. This I knit in 2017, and it's favorite. Going from there, so the interesting thing is there's a lot of Caitlin Hunter, and she's a really talented designer. She's definitely one of my favorites. She hits a lot of notes for me with the sort of Scandinavian yokes, or a little texture, a little bit of both. The fit's always really good. I do know the one thing that I do modify a lot with Caitlin Hunter patterns are her short row shaping. I find usually, and I wonder if it's in the Birkin, because this was early days. It's pretty even. It might have also stretched out, but I do find that Caitlin tends to have short rows in only a very small part of the back, and so it creates like a funny little pocket. It doesn't really lay well for me, so I know I adjust the short rows to how I like them. So I just bring them more to the front, and then have them graduate. And whether I start with the long ones or end with the long rows, it's all determined on how we're hiding the short rows. So I think the short rows for here are after the ribbing. So I would have done, what do you do for after the ribbing? You do the longest ones, you do the shortest ones and finish with the longest ones, so that all your short rows are along the transition of ribbing to the yoke. So just, there's never any, you really can't see them. Because if you find a transition line, if you don't find a transition line, and even the best short rows, and I've used a ton. I used to use Japanese. I used to use wrap and turn. Now I'm quite in love with German short rows. No matter how good you are, sometimes, especially in a very solid plain fabric, you can see a little sort of inconsistency. So hiding it with a transition, I guess, is my tip for the day. But anyway, so I do change her short rows in the back shaping. I am sensitive. I am curved at the back. I've got a little bit of a hump, so I'm very sensitive with that. And I make sure to compensate for that in all my sweaters. But this is called the Northerly, and I knit this in 2023. So I just knit this last year, and not last spring or late winter, but the year before. And I picked up the yarn when I was at Vogue Knitting Live. I was super inspired by a yarn that I saw called from Port Fiber was vending at Vogue Knitting, and she represents Cashmere People, Kashgora Sport. And there's a DK too, but I picked up the Sport, and I picked up this light neutral, and I also picked up a blue, and I still have enough to make another sweater. But it is just the most divine yarn, and really special. And then I set it off color-wise with some other of the stash that I had here, which was Harrisville Designs Shetland, color Periwinkle, which I think is the light purple, and Woolly Knit British 4-ply color Foxglove, which is the dark purple. And I just love this. I love it because there's cables, there's lace, there's texture, there's amazing color work. The fit is spectacular. The birds at the bottom, which, they're so cheerful. And I just think, what a spectacular sweater. Love it. Can't wait to wear this one. Can't wait to wear all of them. But yeah, so that's the Northerly, and number 3. Number 4. This was really fun to knit. So this is the Astrid by Junko Okamoto. You'll notice here that I didn't do the sleeves. It just was getting too busy for me. I like simpler things. There's like a fine balance for me with simpler things. And I purposely made this really oversized. It's really cozy. I knit it using Jamieson & Smith Heritage color. That's the main one here. Color dark fawn. And it's a fantastic yarn. When I was knitting this, it wasn't so open, but it was a lot more open, and it was massive. And I just really had to trust my swatch, because my swatch said that it really folds together and will kind of maybe even potentially overall shrink a tiny bit. And I use room temperature water. I don't agitate. I lay flat to dry. Yeah, so this is just, so it just folds and it just closes in all the little spaces between the stitches and everything like that. And it's just spectacular. I'm so thrilled with this. You know, it's a great piece on a cold day. I'll quite often wear just like a long tunic and maybe leggings or a dress or whatever underneath it. It's really fantastic. So the other colors in this are, I have a lot of cones of yarn, because it gives me a lot of play for color. I think I talk about it all the time. So I call them my, like my workhorse yarns. So in this, I've got, aside from the Shetland Heritage, I've got Jamieson and Smith Spindrift Loganberry. I'm not even going to guess which one that is in here. It's been so long. I knit this in 2022. Loganberry, Harrisville Design Shetland Straw. Well, that's the yellow. Magenta, which I believe is that one. No, that might be the magenta. This is the raspberry, and periwinkle, which is the very pale purple here. And yeah, it's just, I love this. I love them too with the cabled sleeves. I think they're really pretty. It just, because this was going to be a big tunic and really oversized, it was just too much. So I kind of called it quits and just did plain arms. And I don't regret it for a bit. But the great thing with knitting, it's your knitting, you do what you want. And I got what I wanted. So I love it. I wear it a lot. Yeah, so that was the Astrid. My next one is the Turtle Dove 2. Now this I've knit twice. And I didn't love the fit of the second one. And it wasn't the design, it was totally the yarn. The yarn was too drapey for me, and I thought it didn't fit very nicely. But this is the first one I knit of the Turtle Dove. And it doesn't look remarkable in any way. It's just, it looks great on. It's super flattering. It goes with everything. And there's nothing to it. So this, in my mind, is the absolute, like, perfect. You can just mush it right up and put it in a suitcase. And you've got a great sweater for travel. It's warm. It's knit from Biche Bouche, Le Gros, Silk and Mohair. And color, what's the color? Dark beige. Love it. It's the best for travel. But isn't it amazing? Just like I literally washed this like a week or so ago, folded it up. And even before I'd wear it, of course, I'd have to steam it. So apologies. But yeah, anyways. Regardless, I'm just glad to be recording this because it seemed to be like it wasn't going to happen. Anyways, so that is Turtle Dove 2 by Melissa Clulo, who was the owner of Espace Tricot. I think it's still listed under Espace Tricot. And anyways, you can find it, Turtle Dove 2. There's two versions. There's one that's a different gauge and one that's another gauge. I think the Turtle Dove 2 is the larger gauge, but I don't know. Anyways, it's all on Ravelry. Fantastic. So number 6 is Caitlin Hunter's Ramblin' Woman. And this I knit in 2019. I love it. And this goes in my room, my bedroom, near my bed. In the morning, I put this on. This is kind of like my around the house coat in the winter when it's really cold and damp. I've put on here, you can see some really fun jewel closures, so they're functioning. When it's really cold, I might move them so that it does cover the chest more, but yeah, it's great. This was a really a fun knit. It's a lot of knitting. I don't remember feeling overwhelmed by it. I believe it was steeked. I don't think my steek is that spectacular, but we're wrong, but it's a steek. I don't spend a lot of time on tape bindings. It just worked out perfectly. I love it. I wear this once in probably about 3 weeks. This will be out and ready to go for me to to wear when I wake up in the morning when I've got my coffee and my knitting. And for that, I've used, oh yeah, let's just see, what have I used? This is, again, another, I really do love having a good side stash because I really play with it. So I've kind of got it sort of organized by different kinds of wool. Like a lot of here is the sort of hand-dyed superwash, and then I have in these bins, like I'll put on one bin, it'll be sort of like rustic DK. And so this is what I would have picked from that bin. So I know that this is the Hillesvag Ask. Again, the same one that I was knitting with for Jeff's sweater, the for Fox Wake. And with that, I've got two Moodnas, Judean Pipe. I don't know. I think it's a natural color. I'm not really sure. It's been so long. And Black Trumpet, my favorite here. Isle Yarns DK color Necklace Field. I don't know. I don't know. Rauma Finullgarn Dark Olive. Well, we know that's that one. And Pine Green, which I guess is that one down here. But it's all listed, all the names. And in my Ravelry page, there's also photos of the yarn, which I enter when I add it to my inventory or my Ravelry stash. But yeah, this was just such a great sweater or cardigan. I'm not a huge lover of cardigans, I'll be totally honest. I feel it's not my look. I feel it's a bit, I don't know. I find, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't find it on me flattering. So I don't gravitate to them. Most cardigans I've knit, I've given away. But that one's just so practical and so good, you know, over your jammies or whatever, or like, you know, on a Sunday afternoon, whatever you're wearing. It's just so perfect. I love the design on it. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's flattering. I don't think I feel fantastic and, you know, ready for a dinner out in it, but I don't think that's the look of that cardigan. But that's kind of why I don't gravitate to cardigans. I've given them away. I knit them. There's been some fun ones, but yeah. Anyways, so that was Ramblin' Woman, number 6, and now we're on to number 7, and this one is another one by Caitlin Hunter, and I'm so sorry, I feel like I'm banging the same drum, but she's got some special designs. I really, really, really believe it. Anyways, this is the Angle sweater. I knit it sleeveless, and that's been actually fantastic because it's a real layering piece for me. I also knit it, oh, you can see it's bobbled a little bit, but I've knit it using Shibui Sema, and Shibui Silk Cloud, held double. And the drape on this is just out of this world. I have another sweaters quantity for this in the blue. This color from Shibui is, sorry, let me look it up, Velvet. And it's such a spectacular yarn. So sad that it's not around anymore. No, the silk mohair Silk Cloud is available now through Madeline Tosh, but the Sema was also really spectacular too. It was like a light merino, beautifully spun, very fine, good drape, really nice. The color work is really fun. There's a teeny little bit of lace in it, which you can barely see now because of the mohair and just having worn it a bit. I don't think it looks tired for wear, but you know the stitches do sort of merge a little bit over time, but you can see with the light coming through the lace work there. But the yarn that I've used for the color work is Madeline Tosh Merino Light. Oh, and it's a one of a kind, so it's not really very helpful, but it was sort of white with speckles of blue and red, which I just thought was really pretty. And yeah, so I love this. This is a great layering piece. I remember I wore this actually on New Year's Eve last year. It was sort of a warm night. I think I had a jacket over it and a pretty skirt. And it just gave me the right amount of layers. Cozy, festive, comfortable. And I love the feel of that fabric on me. So that was really cool. If you have Sema and you have some Silk Cloud in stash, use it for a good project. Something that you really will enjoy wearing for a long time because it's just the bomb. Anyways, okay, on to number 8, Snowy Forest. I knit this last winter, actually after I'd had little surgery. I had a small lumpectomy, and this is what I knit when I was recuperating in bed, and it was such a pleasure to knit. I love it. Look at those amazing stitch motifs she's used. I mean, this is the horseshoe cable and a really beautiful other cable stitch that kind of grows as it incorporates stitches widthwise, but it just grows so organically. I love it. So this is the wishbone. Oh no, I always want to call it the wishbone. I'm not sure why. I think there's another sort of that's similar to it. This is the Snowy Forest by Midori Hirose. I knit this in 2024, and it's using onion knit silk and kid mohair in a gold color, if you can believe it. So there's sort of like a warmth undertone in there. I don't know if you can see it. And Woolfolk Luft colored 2L gray. But I just thought that the two together gave a really interesting dimension. I think the main thing that the silk mohair does, of course, other than giving the halo, is you can see the lightness of the silk threads. And it does give sort of an overall warm halo, which I just thought was really spectacular. Oh, look at that in the sunlight. It's such a pretty design. This was, I think, in one of the Lina magazines. It's a real joy to knit. I don't think it was at all difficult because I was mentally, I was a little loopy. So it was really fun. It kept me engaged and kept me company when I was lying low. So that's really good. And I really look forward to wearing that a lot this winter. I knitted it in January, so I had a bit of time. February is our coldest month. But I'm looking forward to getting more use out of it this year. So 2 more to go. We're almost there. Number 9, the Akemi by Keiko Kikuno. Sorry. I knit this in 2021. This was knit by so many people at the time. It's just such a spectacular knit. There's just so many fun stitches and techniques. And oh, isn't that interesting? This looks like those little baubles, the little mini baubles that Stephen West used in the Go-Go Dynamo. And then there's a sort of herringbone texture. There's some really interesting ribbing. Oh, I must have caught it. Let's not look at that. Oh, got to fix that. But there's some really interesting ribbing sort of or horizontal texture here. Some fringe, which I remember working that on an airplane actually, which was great. I think I was wrapping it around a pencil or something like that. But yeah, it's a really neat sweater. It's kind of like doing a sampler, isn't it? There's like something interesting the whole way. I find it very wearable. Again, wearing it with denim. I'm not a blue jeans wearer, but I love wearing denim shirts, denim dresses, and this totally goes with that. Great color. So this I knit with using Durerum Natura Ulysse Color Genet. So that was really easy, and again, I knit that in 2021. The last one. And again, this is one of my earlier knits. There's, I think, 2 or 3 in here that were knit in 2021. In 2017. 2017 was a really good year for knitting for me. And this one here was one of them. This is Breathing Space by Vera Valimaki. It's a really interesting garment. It's asymmetrical. So if I stand up, you can see it. So there's a really neat sort of cross across your sort of chest area, and then it's asymmetrical, the hem. I love it. It's simple, but chic, cool. It wears really nicely, fits beautifully. Colors are super, very easy. I think this is all Madeline Tosh Merino Light color, Charcoal and Outlander. And Charcoal is sort of that sort of blue-gray. Outlander is the white with the red and blue specks in it. And I love this sweater. Yeah. And since 2017, I've been very happily wearing it. Yeah, it's a really lovely one. It's light. Again, it's great for packing, great for travel. It's stylish. It's comfortable. And Madeline Tosh, Merino Light. I know single ply yarns, people are a bit worried or wary about wearing in a sweater or knitting in a sweater. But maybe because I don't live in a very cold climate and I don't wear my knits a lot or hard, or I have a lot that I can rotate through them, so not one is kind of overused, I find it actually holds up quite well. And I've got quite a few other sweaters knit with a single ply merino, and it doesn't bother me. I bought another sweater quantity when I was in Rhinebeck to do another design with, so I think it's great. But just, it's better to be aware and not think it's going to be your workhorse. So that's my top 10. What a fun process. All fun to knit. I can't think of anyone that I didn't like knitting, but I can't think of anything that I really wouldn't like knitting. Although I think there have been some things where I think usually when you don't like knitting, it's because it's maybe not the right time for you. Like you're either mentally not it's too complex for your brain, or your brain is desiring something to hold its concentration and it's too boring. Like I think that's really it. So it's just not paired well timing wise. But yeah, so there's 10. I wear those a lot to go back. I think so. The earliest really is 2017. I think the knits before 2017 were a little bit more of the misses. I don't know if I have many in my storage or in my, if I've kept any that are much older. That'd be actually really interesting. I should look at that. But yeah, so I hope that's a bit inspiring. We're getting we're into sweater weather, and there's some of my faves. So I'll leave you there. I'm going to leave you with a really nice walk that Luna and I took this morning. It's November, and in Bermuda, we're allowed to be on the beaches with our dogs in November. I think it's still restricted. I mean, obviously on leashes. We're not really allowed to have dogs off leashes in Bermuda in public places. So it was our first time on the beach this fall, and it was really nice. So we walked down and entered the beach area through a mangrove forest. Not mangrove. Grape bay. Bay grape. A bay grape forest, and I love the bay grape leaves. They're big saucer-like leaves, and they do drop. They are starting to drop now, so I've taken photos and videos of the different colors of them and them on the floor or the ground. It's really pretty. And then we went for a walk on the beaches. Horseshoe Beach is one of the most famous beaches. That's where we started, and we walked along to a lot of the smaller beaches along. There's sort of like a whole section of our coastline, which is very near to my house. That's a lot of really small, pokey little, beautiful, beautiful beaches. One of the beaches that I've got in the videos is actually the beach where I filmed the intro, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called, but it's there at in the mix of all the videos too. So I hope you enjoy. It was a really, really beautiful, really windy day. So the volume will be off, so you'll have some music, because all you'll hear is just the wind. But a beautiful day, beautiful winter day in Bermuda. So I hope you enjoy. We're now going to Fridays for uploading videos, so I'll see you in 2 weeks on a Friday. Okay, enjoy, happy knitting, take care, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.